Hi.
Hello.
So the first questions I'm going to ask are just like, what's your name? What's the title of your piece? And like, what was your role?
Well, my name is Nacoca Ko, and I am an artist. That was my role. And I basically created the whole project from start to finish. It was my first newart.city project. And basically, I was having an exhibition here in Geneva, and I wanted to have an online space where I could also share it with the community. And and then the two started influencing each other. So I kind of developed them at the same time, and then aesthetically it changed depending on, whatever I was working on. And then, well, yeah, I mean, the whole project, did I say the name of the project? It's The Landscapes of the Fall of Icarus. So that whole project came about with just like anxiety about, you know, acceleration and how progress is just happening so fast, and we're arriving at this kind of cliff of singularity and we don't really see the horizon, so we end up in this space of vertigo. I guess I can talk about that more when we're in the exhibition. um and yeah, and then there was COVID, so there's a lot of like social distancing and being in nature, and just developing kind of a dialogue also between metaverse, reality, nature, behind the screen, these kinds of things.
And when did you make the piece?
That one, I believe, is from June, around June. Well, it was for I don't know if it was for the festival, but it was in 2021.
Um, and tell me more about your process for making it. You spoke a little bit to it, but I'd love to hear a little more.
Um, well, let's see. So it started with photography, and the photography was done with these glitched panoramic photos. So I would actually like I would take them, and the composition would be in a real time. So it would be the movement of my hand, the body, that would actually glitch the photo. So I didn't change the composition afterwards. Later, I changed some colors and things like that. So this was me projecting my anxiety onto the nature that I was seeing, or onto the city. And then especially during social distancing, then there was like not a lot of people. And so yeah, so it's like that feeling also of like isolation. And so then once that was done, then I animated them, and I used these kind of like fast app things. I was like really into also using my phone as my art tool. So I was doing everything on my phone. So I was taking the pictures on my phone, I was editing them on my phone, I was animating them on my phone, and that was really my process. And then of course, then when I uploaded them, and actually in this exhibit, I mean, there's not really 3D. There's like one 3D piece. So the rest of it is just really just the like playing with the photography and cubes, and making a globe out of like pictures and that kind of thing. So,
Um,
uh, yeah.
yeah,
And
that
then
kind
there
of
was a
leads
real
into my next.
exhibition, which had a lot of other stuff going on. And so like the floor of, well, I'd like to explain it in the space. I think it makes more sense.
Sure, sure. I'm curious also, like, what was your practice like before the pandemic? And this came out kind of towards the height of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a common story on New Art City because that's kind of when we were founded. So it's always an
Right.
interesting story.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was working in digital art for a really long time, probably forever. Like I don't even want to tell you, it dates me. So, and I was also working in advertising, in like the digital side of advertising for a long time. And so that really influenced my work. And so I've always worked with Photoshop, and then, you know, later experimenting with some other like laser cutting and these kinds of things. So vectors, obviously, like that. So like I said, I really like bringing the digital into the physical. So, I mean, I was doing that quite a while ago. And I was working also with concrete. So I was trying to also, you know, explore different materials and not just be only online.
I love that. I love everybody's answer to this question. And have you shown in like a 3D virtual space before New Art City?
No, not a 3D space.
Have you used any other like virtual tools since then?
No, like other spaces, no. I mean, tools, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm constantly trying new things, and obviously I'm working with AI and I'm working with AR, and yeah, like doing all kinds of different stuff, but not like actual virtual exhibition. I think
Yeah,
I had maybe a couple pieces. Actually, that's not true. I had a couple pieces. I had a piece in some other in spatial. I think I had a piece
yeah,
there, but that wasn't me that organized. It was somebody else. So.
yeah. Some folks kind of like move on to things like Unity and Unreal, but doesn't
Oh
seem
yeah,
like
like
that
to
was
become
yours.
you mean like 3D. Yeah, no, it's not my
Yeah,
thing really. Like really, I think of myself as just like an artist, and then like often I collaborate with other people and try to get these things made, but I'm not always for myself. There's like few things that I can relate to myself
totally. And when was the last time you returned to this space?
today.
Wow. But how long had it been since then?
It was probably, I think I saw Jason Isolini's show.
But like
That
your own
was the
space.
last time. Oh, my own space. For time to time, there was, for example, I had an exhibit here in Geneva recently, and they asked me to speak about digital art and I don't know, impact of NFTs. With someone else was speaking about that in the space. And so I actually like just brought my laptop. I showed them the space. Tried to explain to, because they were like, "What is metaverse?" And these things. So I like explained to them by showing them how you can actually move around through a space, that kind of thing.
Cool. And how do you approach like archiving in your work? Like clearly you've been making work for some time. Like do you return to things you've made in the past? Do you recycle them?
Well, it depends. Like online, yes, some things get reused. For example, items in this show have been reused. Right now, there's a video exhibition in Rio, and we're showing some of those video animations from this exhibit, and they're projected on a building for about 2 months. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, different things. So like, yeah, I did like another thing where I like repurposed it as a poem with Shout Gallery. But I mean, I like to move on. Like I'm always moving on. And if some opportunity comes, then I love to, I like to give it new life, but mostly I'm always changing everything. Like a lot of curiosity and a lot of things to do. So.
Totally. I'm curious, do you like return to files just like in a personal sense? Like do you like have a practice of looking back or are you really sort of focused on the future?
Well, of course, eventually you look back. I mean, today, for example, I got completely lost in both the spaces because I was just, yeah, I was like, I'm going to just see what happens if I change the color a little bit. And, and I was also just roaming around inside, and I was definitely getting lost in it. And I was like, and I was feeling guilty, like I should be doing other stuff. I got to do other work, I'm like, I don't have time for this. And I'm like, yeah, but this is my space that I built, that I love, and I feel good in it. And it's like something, you know, it's like me, and I'm in my space. So why not spend some time here? Yeah. So, but it's obviously, it works like that, like probably after a long time, and then you go back, and same with everything. Like you revisit physical pieces too, that you haven't looked at in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's part of we're trying to trick people into doing exactly that. I think that it's like it turns out this kind of
We're
digital
doing a
nostalgia is really
retrospective.
nice, and it's really nice to share together.
Yeah, it was interesting that you decided to do it as a video review, because I think you guys have come so far too. I mean, you guys have done so much, and I've been watching too as it developed from like different from the beginning. Well, I think I joined in a little bit after the beginning, but it's really cool. And it was so funny. I was joking. I remember one time I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's been 6 months. This is like really old school. Like there's a lot of new things going on." Like that's
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
good.
it really and it's like the tool itself, frankly, has not changed all that much, but I think people have been continually so creative with it that like it's really not the tool evolving. In many ways, it's the style evolving.
Yeah. But no, but there's also certain capabilities. Like when I came in, there was no flying, you know. So
I've had some, or like we used to have jump flying back in the day, and one of the secret tricks is that if you go into the inspector in your browser and just type like room.canfly equals true, um, you'll be able to do the jump flying no matter whether or not flying is enabled. It's a little Easter
yeah,
egg for
I didn't get
anybody
that
who's like
hint.
really
Yeah.
combing through these tours. So that's my last like interview question. So I'm gonna switch to sharing my screen and then we can go into the space if that's okay.
Of course.
Hmm.
Working between the digital arts and materiality, Nacoca Ko questions how we operate as a link between technology and nature. Digital art in the form of photography, sculpture, and video installation explore how we find our footing at the cliff of acceleration. What worlds do we build when the future is in the past and we navigate through lost horizons? Through this distortion in a time of social distancing, she relates her personal reality from external landscapes into the landscape of the internet and the anxious landscape of her own mind. As a kind of footnote in the tradition of Breughel the Elder's painting, Landscape of the Fall of Icarus, the hero that romanticizes progress, drowns unnoticed in the waves of deep time. The two exhibitions, the physical at Andata Ritorno and the virtual at newart.city, inform each other. One, a white cube that is also nested into this virtual counterpart, a sphere. Exploring through the gallery, passing into the artworks, you arrive at inceptive intersections, GIF video, poetry, and text, crossing the timelines and manifestations of this project. And the sound is by Jan Longchamp and myself.
Oh yeah. So okay, now I can move around. We're inside of a sphere with, and it's really cool to hear you describe the panorama and then kind of see it in real life. It's this like uh, horizon that looks like it's kind of been slit scanned, like these different slits of it are like a little misaligned, and it's kind of cloudy and a little psychedelic. There's like really deep blue sky with these like grasses in the foreground, and you are facing uh, two feet that are textured in grass sticking up. There are a bunch of different artworks as cubes all around you floating, and then there is a white cube that says Andata Ritorno that you can enter. I want to start in there.
You want to start in there?
You can, no, tell me
I
tell me
prefer
what's on your
start
mind
in the
now, and we'll go
outside.
in.
What's that? What did you say?
Oh, is there anything you want to speak to while we're right here?
I just wanted to orient ourselves
Please,
because now
please.
we're like in the round cube instead of um a white a round sphere instead of a white cube, because this was like I was showing my work in a gallery, but I really wanted to have this kind of alternate space and see what can be done in the different physics that you can do online. It's not just you'll have to have walls, for example. So the works are floating around in space, and it's really an exploration too of how to use the space and how to show works without a gallery setting. Yeah, so now you're inside, and that's like an inceptive space. So that's where these pictures kind of can take on a whole new, because you can actually walk into the picture as opposed to just seeing it as a flat surface. And you can be surrounded, and it really creates that feeling of vertigo.
Yeah. So the composition of
If
this
you
one
look
is
up
like a.
too,
Hmm?
it's also, if you look up as well, or if you go into one of the other ones, sometimes it's also like more geometric even.
Yeah, this one there's like a building on the left that's like stone and glass with these like glass outset windows, and then there's like a big green hillside on the other side of it that's like melting upward, and the building is melting upward, and there's some like blued out like mountainscape on the right with like orange and white clouds, orange sky and white clouds. Let's go up into another one. Oh, hi, we're outside now, back in the big sphere.
Maybe go in like the yellow one, or
Oh yeah,
or there's another one that's really nice, is the to really go inside is the Chamarel one. If you go the and so you can see also when you click on these, you can also see the names, the titles are related to COVID. So this one is work from home.
yeah.
And
So there, that those broken roofs look like Paris, but it seems like it's right next to the ocean. So,
it's in Geneva. This is where I live.
oh wow.
So yeah, and that's the lake in the background.
And so the like sort of divide, it's kind of divided diagonally, and you have the like apartment blocks with like a bare tree from a park facing out into the ocean, and then there's like an orange melting sky. It's really topsy-turvy. It does remind me of Inception. This one doesn't have a quite. Oh, the new normal. This look almost, it's like a dam from the top down. Is this like a Google Street
Yeah.
View?
Nope, this is a real photo that I took with the panoramic feature of the iPhone.
Wow, it looks like it's from straight up, and there's a lot of like nice negative space in here, lots of like deep blacks, and you can see the kind of runoff from the power generation in like greens and blues, and the trees are also kind of melting into the river.
Yeah, that's the one I like to go into.
Ah,
I enjoy that one.
yeah, this like really orange and brown river. It seems like a lot of like iron in the water or the soil, and it's like washing all of these branches down, and then there are these like rivers of trees on either side with this little like swath of sky. Less frequented places. Oh, and then it's interesting to see it as a sphere and then see it as a rectangle. Like the composition really does kind of shift, or to see it as a cube and see it as
Mhm.
a
Yeah,
rectangle.
yeah.
Ooh, this is great too.
Yeah, I like this one too.
It's
Inside.
like a hilltop with like huge mountains up above. Is that snow or is it just kind of like
No, it
limestone?
was because it was in summer, but it's rock that doesn't get a lot of trees.
I see.
Yeah, and this image was actually shown in the Musée d'Art Contemporain in Lyon, so in France. They were like during a talk, he was showing this one to talk about like the Alps melting, which I think
Mhm.
is pretty appropriate image for that because the glaciers melting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's very poignant. You can see how it's like carved out. And then the video, it is literally melting. Okay, where
So
to next?
those yeah, and so those are like Icarus's feet, basically. So if you see the painting of Breughel, there's one where you can see Icarus. There's another one where his feet are just sticking out of the ocean on the side, and you can barely notice it. And then you have all the all the boats and are coming in, and the work being done. So you have this idea that like progress just goes on somehow, even though Icarus, who's supposed to be like this representative of progress, is just basically drowning. So it's kind of like the ills of progress, but also that it happens anyways.
Can I go down into the floor?
That if you want to.
Just the feet. Oh, this cursive is great with the little sort of like white cloudy background. Like whatever it was you were looking for.
It's for the extra curious people that need to go under the ground and see what's happening.
Me. Can I go in here?
Yes, yeah, we can go in now.
Now we're going into Andata Ritorno. White cube.
Yeah.
So
So
now,
this was the way that I showed my video exhibition. So this is a video that I created, and it's based on the poem that I wrote. Like there's a longer poem, but this is based on it. And this is how I showed it in the exhibition. So rather than just having a video, I actually had the whole newart.city world inside the screen. And then you could go in here and watch the video if you wanted.
that's so meta.
And if you look around in the gallery, I put in also some photos from the exhibition.
Oh, that's great.
You can see, because I always wanted to do this full circle, bring the gallery back into the space, because I had brought the space into the gallery. So this is actually what I did today. I added on to it because I felt it was necessary to finish like the actual experience. So that's how the feet were represented in the exhibit.
Ah, yeah, the laser cut images are really cool. So these seem like stills from the videos that we were just inside, cut out into these like really beautiful abstract shapes. Like the clouds are kind of cloudy, and then the one like hill and skyscape, it has a lot of like bulbous, rounded like edges and curves. Really cool. And the scale is they're really large. That must be about 6 feet tall.
Yeah, each one is not so big, but then they're placed really high on the walls.
Yeah, the
A
install.
little bit distorted, I think, but yeah, they're pretty big. You can see how she's looking up.
Yeah, I mean, the human scale is pretty smart. Ah, we have a PDF, missing data. Is that the poem?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I love how you kind of paint the same stuff like echoing across media.
It's just I had a lot to say with this moment. And so there were all different kinds of ways I had to express myself. Like, so I had the video and the show and these things.
So is the video called Missing Data?
This video is, yeah.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic. It's really like early web. Like you have some really funny GIFs going on, and there are these like embossed looking frames. Like it looks very video game like, but also looks like illuminated manuscript. Now we have this like rainbow like shader pattern. I guess it's not really rainbow, it's more like oranges and greens with like a purple gradient background. Got some like a dancing gif of a guy in a green mocap suit. He's like, what is that undulating shape? Person sitting on a bench.
He is serious. He's fidgeting. They're all fidgeting. They're like...
Oh, he's got fidget spinners. Oh my god, this is really fun. Is there cow dung? A lemon yellow butterfly?
Like my experience on the mountain, like what I'm experiencing, and how when we look at these images or any images, really, we don't know like the whole story going on behind it or all the different senses. So I was exploring like how I was feeling at the time, but from other senses, yes, and other observations that don't make it into the final image.
Mm-hmm. A lot of exhaust. Wow, all of these gifts are amazing. The rotating like fried chicken and these like wireframe cubes, chicken nuggets, veal sausage text on the screen. Little ski lift, dancing cow on a cube that's like undulating this reflective water with like a pink light on it going into a low poly cave. Are the and underscore interrupting the silence? Scary bacteria gif. Cool mirror window with like blown out CRT flowers. It's like undulating liquid shapes. Are the cows chiming oblivious to their music of the eating? How would you? This is I love this poem. It almost sounds AI generated.
It was all natural intelligence.
sitting on lichen. Mood. Did you make all of these GIFs, or is it sort of like a...
Yeah, no, those are things that you can, like, they're available on Video Leap.
Ooh, it looks kind of like an eye. It's this like rotating sphere where like some of the, it's almost like a cut orange with all these like bands surrounding it. And then there are like little spheres on either side and it's rotating really fast. And there was a triangle inside. Now it's gone. Oh, this is kind of where we started. We have the gif.exe, like Windows XP Windows, and this like big undulating transition.
I showed this work in there was the Geneva International Film Festival, and they had like the Swiss interactive sessions, and she was asking me like, why does it look so retro? And I was like, well, it's kind of like going back to the, you know, early start of the internet, and how like, you know, these, and like how Web3 is like much also like this beginning, and how, you know, we feel like everything is just already ready to go, but it's really the beginning, just like the same way it's retro. In the retro text. But if you go back 1 second just to the cube, if you just turn around, like you can just, there's one nice shot on the left there. If you look at the left, there.
Oh.
Yeah. There you can also see the exhibit, I think, which is interesting because you have those two pictures on the right. Those are videos that I made from the actual, you know, those animations that we saw just now outside the cube. So those were made into these other animations just on video. And then there on the left, you can see the link, the portal to newart.city. On the left,
widescreen monitor. Those screens are very cool.
yeah, it's just
yeah,
one
so it's
screen.
like a
The other
white...
one is wallpaper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you mean the little
super
one.
wide one. There's a wide screen on the left. It's a white cube as described with like a door in the background, and there's a probably like an 8 foot tall print of one of the panoramas. And then there are two vertical screens on the right that are smaller, and then there's one huge horizontal screen on the left. That must be like 80 inches or like 60 inches.
Yeah, it was pretty big. And it had, so that was nice because then that way I navigated through the space and I could show people the works the way we saw them now and kind of introduce them to that. And then I made a carpet to match the floor. So the floor in newart.city happened first, and then this carpet happened afterwards. So
Oh, that's really cool. I love that information.
that's it.
Want to go look at the floor again.
Yeah, so that was the wallpaper, what you saw before.
Lots of like pastels with some like darker greens and purples, and it looks kind of like a cloud pattern from above. It's just kind of melting across to the left.
Yeah, Icarus is falling down from the sun.
Well, amazing. If there's not anything else you want to speak to, I can stop the recording.
Yep, that's everything. Thank you.